Welcome back to the Morning Watch. It's now time for Second Watch. And as we look at this subject today, I know that many of you are probably a little bit surprised to hear about the Church of Haile Selassie. The government officially recognized the Church of Haile Selassie one, and that is the government of Jamaica, as part of the religious expression of our landscape and the coming out of the Rastafarian movement in Jamaica. This followed the Act of the Incorporation and Vesting Act in November 2013. For some persons, the idea and existence of such a church may be new, but for some it's not, as some persons here would already have been familiar with the Ethiopian Orthodox Church, of which a large number of its population were Rastafarian. So what we're going to be hearing today will help us to get a better understanding of what is the Church of Haile Selassie. Is it a Christian organization, or is it an indigenous religious system? All of these questions we hope to get answered. Joining us for the discussion this morning is the overseer of the Church of Haile Selassie, Abuna Manuel Asento Fox. Abuna Fox, good morning. Welcome.
Morning.
How are you doing?
I'm good.
Wonderful. Thank you so very much for joining us this morning. We understand that your organization was officially incorporated in November of 2013 here in the island of Jamaica. But where exactly are you located?
I'm located at 29 Oxford Street, Kingston, Jamaica.
29 Oxford Street, that's downtown?
Downtown Kingston.
Okay. All right. And in the congregation itself, what would you consider your church to be? A Christian organization or of another religious faith?
It's a non-Christian organization, but at the same time, we believe in God, not the God of the conqueror faith, but the God of the indigenous people. 1953 is Imperial Majesty opened the electoral parliament, electoral as a Muslim state. It stated that Christianity and Islam are not the only two religions on earth. You have other religions. Everybody speak of God. We are classified as one of the other religions.
Okay. But you use the term church. How do you understand the term church?
The word C-H-U-R-C-H means people. The Church of Haile Selassie is the people of Haile Selassie first.
All right.
You see, the Rastaman, because of the persecution of the conqueror faith, use the word church. I reject that word church a long, long time ago. But today we have to accept word of meaning, and when we say the Church of Haile Selassie first, it means the people of Haile Selassie first.
Okay. And how do you understand when you say you're not the conqueror's God, or how then do you conceive of God in a sense that is more liberating?
Well, the Pauline doctrine speak of God as a spirit. And at the same time, when we study history of the conqueror faith, which is Christianity, it was legitimized AD 325 by Constantine. And it has nothing to do with us because Christ, Jesus, born BC 7th March. At that time, we Ethiopian people were free. Our emperor was Emperor Bazine, B-A-Z-I-M.
Okay.
And we reject that because it was used to Protestanize and distort the mentality of our people during the time of slavery. So today, 2014, while I'm speaking to you, the world is changing around us. We cannot accept that faith anymore.
Okay. All right. And having put aside that faith, give us an understanding of how yours is expressed among the people as overseer. How do you organize and structure your activities to give expression to your faith?
Well, it is organized through the indigenous concept. Long time ago, the Queen Sheba and Solomon met, and they produced a child. His name was Melech the first king of Ethiopia. Because of indigenous beliefs, Solomon was recognized as God, a liberator, not the God of the Christians, a liberator. And when Melech the first, 21, he was returned back to Jerusalem. He met his father. He was initiated and become king of Jerusalem. On his return to Ethiopia, he took away the Ark of the Covenant, took it back with him to Ethiopia. And from that time until this time, we looked upon the king of Ethiopia as God, the liberator.
Okay. And if we follow that then down to the lineage of Haile Selassie, you therefore recognize Haile Selassie as God.
Yes.
All
and
right.
we say God. We doesn't want to believe that is the Christian concept of God.
Uh-huh.
Is a man, a liberator.
Yes. And how do you understand him as God? Is it in the sense as the ultimate divine or a messianic expression of that God? As in,
Well,
he's just a messiah, he's like a prophet, but he's not the ultimate God. Do you see him as the ultimate supreme being?
Yes, because you see, the word, we see him as the Messiah, the anointed one, and the Christ.
Mm.
You see, long time ago, we look on the word God. You see, the word God to me is a person who, one would say, is an astronaut. Long time ago, the earth was formed, and the Christian faith say God created the earth. Through science, realized the earth is not created by God. It was there before.
Oh, okay.
And we believe that the heritage or the dynasty came through Anu, A-N-U, and that traced right back to King Solomon. Because David represents the Christ, the Messiah, and the Holy One. And Solomon is the son of David. So when they say, greater than Solomon is here, we see Haile Selassie first as that individual.
Okay.
And if you check 2 Chronicle 7, verse 10, it identifies on the first and 20th day of the month, 21st of June, 7th month, this man was born for our salvation. You know what I'm saying? And the Christian of God, through the Christian faith, we don't accept it because, let's face it, unknown is a name of a person, a place, or a thing. G-O-D is a noun, a person. And let us make man in our own image, likeness, and form. It's person to person, Elohim.
Okay.
So we could not accept God in this time as a spirit. So we reject it.
All right.
So we follow our indigenous faith.
Okay. Now from I looked at your website and I see that you have Sunday school and you have temple worship. What would Sunday school be like in your concept, in your tradition?
Sunday school is a form of educating our members.
Okay, let me interrupt you. First of all, you worship on Sundays or Saturdays?
Yes, we worship on Sunday
Okay.
because, you see, 1930, November the 2nd, Rastafari revealed himself to the world as Haile Selassie first. That day was a Sunday. The oldest day is a Sunday. We don't want people to believe that we are following the concept of Christianity. Sunday to us is one of the oldest days.
Okay.
It was that day Haile Selassie presented himself to the world.
All right. Okay, so that's the significance of Sunday for you.
Yes.
Now tell us about Sunday school.
The Sunday school now is to educate our members because 1890 Babylon, England controlled a quarter of the earth and it sent its missionary to Africa, India, to destroy their mind on Christianity. And what we do now, we educate our members on a Sunday. Our Sunday school is not only for children, for adults also, people who's in search for an identity and a God. So we have a curriculum based on Ethiopian history, based on Old Testament theology, and that is where we go from there. We have Sunday school teachers who educate our members.
And then, right, and we noticed that you use the Bible.
Yeah, the Bible.
Tell us how is the Bible used? Is you use all of it, or the Old Testament alone, or the Hebrew text?
We with the Old Testament reject the Pauline concept of from Roman to Philistinian. We reject the Pauline letters.
Oh.
Because it has nothing to do with us, you know.
Do you use the gospel narratives, the Gospels? You use Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, and Acts? Do you use that?
We look at the gospel of history, identifying certain fundamental history, because we see Christ in the Bible as a liberator who fought against Roman occupation of Palestine.
All right. I'm going to interrupt you. We're going to take a time signal. We'll be right back to hear some more about how you use the Bible. Stay tuned, listeners. We'll be right back.
Protect your child's digestive and immune system with Klim. Klim, your love, their future. The time by Klim is
7:45.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. In Second Watch right now, we are talking with Abuna Manuel Ascento Fox. He's the overseer of the Church of Haile Selassie, which is located on Oxford Road in downtown. Oxford Street, downtown Kingston.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. We have Oxford Road stuck in the mind. But it's Oxford Street, downtown Kingston. Now, Abuna Fox, you were telling us about the use of the Bible in the Church of Haile Selassie. Yes, tell us why you use the Old Testament in particular.
The Old Testament did not really change by Constantine. The New Testament is Pauline doctrine. Paul came to be a messenger from Christ, on the road of Damascus. A light shined in his face, and he was blind. And he heard a voice say, Saul, why you persecute me? To us, that is a form of distortation to the black people, man. If you check the issue of slavery, John Hawkins and Cecil Rose, these men take people from Africa to the Western world, the Caribbean, to world, the Caribbean, and they indoctrinated them on Jesus Christ. It was never faith, because that was preached by Paul to the Italian, to the Roman.
Okay.
And if our emperor, Byzantine, Bizan, was ruling Ethiopia during the so-called time of Christ, we were free. So we don't see what it have to do with us. You understand what I'm saying?
Okay.
That's the foreign thought.
So why? But then there was the presence of Islam. So what about Islam? Neither.
Well, you see, these are the conqueror faith, because I said before, Christianity and Islam are not those two religions on earth. There are others. You see, if you check the history of Africa, say BC or AD 325, the rule of Islamic faith, when Islam will run Africa, it's a bow to Allah or death. So people were forced to accept something to keep alive. Today, thousands of years after, they accept that faith, but it wasn't free.
Okay.
They didn't have no choice. You understand what I'm saying? So we see both of them as a conqueror faith.
Okay.
But at the same time, we try to have a relationship with them, because we're all God people, irrespective,
All right. So so using what the end results and what it has been used to do, you dismiss the New Testament, in particular Pauline teachings. Yes. But you go with the Hebrew passages, the Hebrew text, the Hebrew scripture. So tell us then, how do you use that, given the Jewish history and the particularities of the Jewish people? How do you use that?
Well, you must realize you have two kind of Jews. You have a people called the Falashas of Ethiopia. These were the people who came to Ethiopia with Melech the First.
Okay.
Who did not accept rabbinic Judaism. We accept the original. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes. So tell us, for our listeners, what do you consider to be the original teachings, the pre-rabbinic teachings, pre the time of the priesthood and the temple and all of that? What was before that?
Well, before that, the king was looked upon as God.
All right.
The Jewish concept come from Moses. Was commissioned by the I Am to liberate the Abraham stock from Egypt. We were not a part of that exodus.
Okay. So
we keep to our original, but at the same time, we accept certain fundamental area of Rabbinic Judaism. Leviticus, the laws, thou shalt not, thou shalt not. But at the same time, we worship in our original way. If you remember the rule of Mengistu, when he overthrew Ethiopia, El Selassie government, he sold some of the falasha to Israel.
Yes.
Because they have document that was more fundamental than what was in Israel. And it was used by the Israelite people, and after that they start to disrespect the Ethiopian people and they leave. So what I'm saying is that although we claim to be of the Judah stock, we are not really from the Abrahamic stock. We're from the Melech stock.
Oh.
And it doesn't change.
How are you able to trace back your lineage, though? How are you able to go back to find yourself, to line yourself up with that source, to say, well, I'm of Menelik, I'm not of Abraham?
Well, let's face it, Abraham is a Caucasian. You understand that if you read 2nd Genesis, it speaks of Ethiopia before Abraham. And what we're saying is that if we was before Abraham, then we were culture, we were civilization. And when we check ancient history from Adam until now, we identify our emperor at that time as emperor of Ethiopia. So we follow that lineage and we follow that history. So now we don't get it confused with the Egyptian Exodus with Moses, because we was not there, so we could not ally ourselves with that, yet we respect areas of it.
All right, I'm seeing where you're going with this. You've separated yourself from that particular history of the Exodus and all of that going back into Canaan. You're not part of
Yes.
that. You are
No.
you're of an original set of people
We are Ethiopian.
All right, from Ethiopia.
Yes.
All right, okay.
The Abyssinian people.
The Abyssinians. You're going back
Yes.
to that great
That
rule.
history. Yes,
All right,
that rule.
okay. Now, what is it that you hope to achieve by establishing a church, assembling yourself as a people in this time? What are your aims and intentions?
Well, you must understand, too, because of secular education, the Rastafarian people, historically, were not given the opportunity to become intellectual. So we have to trace ourselves back to where we're coming from, and it's our responsibility as a church to try to, not to convert, but to correct the abuse and inculcate and disseminate our history to our people. For instance, the Rastafarian, you have the Ayabingi house, the Bobo Shanti house, and the 12 tribe house.
Yes.
What we're saying that 2014, while I'm speaking to you this morning, the world around us is changing. And it's Imperial Majesty that tradition and custom have to be modified to ensure the continuity of our people. Rastafarianism today need a modification. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Although we are Rastafarian and we claim Ethiopian heritage, we are Jamaica national. And living in Jamaica, we need low-cost house, we need proper education, we need medical facility, etc., etc. And because of lack of education, our predecessors could not fight for these things because it was not recognized. But now the church recognized in Jamaica, we want to take our part in the development of Jamaica as a national, irrespective of what concept of repatriation. You know what I'm saying?
So we will be hearing your voice speaking out on social justice issues, and not just speaking, but we're going to be seeing actions being taken.
Well, what we are saying is that if Jamaica is a democracy, then the Rastafarian reaches 10% of the population should have a voice in Parliament as an independent senator to involve in Jamaica business because he's a part of the society. 1838, we were there, and that was not right.
Oh, yes.
And at the same time, we are only the two political parties. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
But through the curriculum at our time did not give our predecessors any opportunity to become intellectual or leaders. Today, my generation changed. We go to England and America, Second World War, they opened the American England for cheap labor force, and we go to this place, we go to school, we go to university, we're involved. We are more adult now.
Okay. You have come of age, so to speak.
Yes.
All right. Now, what's the difference between your church and the Ethiopian Orthodox Church for the benefit of our listeners? Because some might not have been able to follow what you're explaining a while ago about the lineage. So could you make it a little clearer? How are you different from the Ethiopian Orthodox Church?
Well, the Ethiopian Orthodox Church speak of Jesus Christ. 1965, when all the 7 heads of the Orthodox Church met in Ethiopia, on the agenda, H&G stated that we should re-examine the Christological concept of the church. It is necessary for re-examination. What I'm saying? And because of that, we did not try to differentiate ourselves from them because Ethiopia is an empire with over 1,000 minority. Each speak of God in their own way. So what we're saying today that every emperor of Ethiopia traditionally have to defend the faith.
Okay.
But at the same time, they do not subject their people to Orthodox faith. You know what I'm saying? You understand what I'm saying? The Orthodox Church in Jamaica come to give the Jamaican people an identity. But the question of God, no, the theological side, I reject that.
Okay.
Because the Haile Selassie say that we could reject it because there are other religions than Christianity.
All right. So for my listeners, just so you know, whereas the Ethiopian Orthodox profess Christ as the Christian does, and accept him as Messiah and manifestation or incarnation of God. The Church of Haile Selassie does not. You hold a different Christological concept, and I'll break that down. You hold a different understanding of Messiah and who God is. And as far as you're concerned, that is the person of Haile Selassie, not Jesus the Christ.
True.
That's how it
It's so
goes.
beautiful. It's so beautiful. You put it
You took like a member of your church, man.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, Abuna. Just want our listeners to get it kind of clear, because when we're talking
Yeah.
about these different religions, it's not so easy to understand.
Yeah.
So, are you only in Jamaica, or are you in the Caribbean region?
Yeah,
Where
we are
else are
in
you found?
we are in Trinidad and Tobago, we are in Barbados, we are in London, we're in New York. We spread out, and we believe that in the end, with my desire, I think the Church I Celeste will be the national church of Jamaica. I'll tell you why I say this. 60 were given independent, right?
Yes.
And we change from parliamentary democracy to socialism, democracy, socialism. We reject the Queen as well, head of our state now. So if we reject the Queen as head of our state, we should reject the conqueror of faith. We can't wear two fists on one hat. You know what I'm saying? If we say we don't want the Queen as our leader, why should we accept the Anglican and Protestant faith when she present those faiths? You know what I'm saying?
Yes, yes.
So I think the new generation will have to become right with themselves. You can't reject the parliamentary democracy of Babylon, England, at the same time you're worshiping the Christian faith when it belongs to them. So you're given the opportunity now to choose.
And it's not a sense that you have dismissed God, but you're dismissing how some persons conceive of God. That's what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay.
And at the same time, as I said before, the God concept was legitimized by Constantine AD 335. It has nothing to do with black people. Nothing to do with black people. Because Rome and Constantine want to lead the Roman people. So it was part of the starvation of God, and people like St. Athanasius, St. John Chrysostom, and Tony, they write the doctrine of theology for him. And because we were not a part of it, they use force. They use force to subject us. But my generation, born again. You know what I'm saying?
All right. So tell me then, do you some of the challenges that some persons have with the Christian church, the Church of the Conqueror, is the role of women in that church? What's the role of women in the Church of Haile Selassie?
We're beautiful. In the image of God, man was made male and female. When Paul go in the Mediterranean era and try to preach his doctrine, he went and saw women priestess, women priests, and to fight against them, he used Timothy. Him saying Timothy that Adam broke before Eve, Eve created after, Adam did not deceive. I have given no authority to preach or teach. One was silent. But I reject that because Queen of Sheba was a woman. And when she visited Solomon, she discussed with him her rights, economic rights, but she's a woman who could have love, would make love to. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So if there's a Queen of Sheba, we have to give woman that right. We cannot reject woman account to Paul.
Okay.
But some of our Rasta young brethren, out of zeal, but I think the church is here now to correct the abuse and inculcate and disseminate.
All right. So you have women priests in the church?
No,
what
we don't have women priests. We have women coordinator, every role women play. But the priest side, no, we don't bring them there because the biological concept. You know what I'm saying?
I understand that. I understand what you're pointing at. You have to go have that one off the ear. So
when I come to Jamaica, I come see Jamaica and talk that off the ear.
Definitely, we have to go talk about that one. All right, Abuna. We want to thank you so very much for coming and sharing with us and for letting us know that what the Church of Haile Selassie is all about and not a religious expression in our country. We do anticipate that in spite of the differences, we will work together and seek to understand how we can work for God's people more than anything else.
Happy birthday, Irene.
Irene?
Yeah.
All right. Okay, we hope Irene is listening this morning.
Yes, that's my daughter. She's 20 today,
All right, okay. Irene, Love 101 is the station to listen to as of this morning, Irene. Yes, Abuna.
Yes. We need to make economic assistance also. You understand that? Because being the last to employ, the first lose our job. The church is here now. We need economics to buy some benches and all those things, So if you have a contribution, we would appreciate at the same time, All
right. Okay, Abuna, we hope our listeners have heard you, and we continue to wait to hear more about the church and the work here in Jamaica. And we want to tell you thanks for taking the time to share with us. Have a great day. Bless you.
And thank you very much for a nice day also. It's Father's Day.
Blessings.
All right.
All right. God bless you all, our listeners, as you continue to stay with us. We truly hope that you'll have a blessed weekend and that you will find ways and means to be a blessing to others as well. Join us again on Monday as we continue our discussions of controversial, ethical, and moral issues. You can get a copy of this program. Call 968-9596 This has been The Morning Watch, and I'm Marvia Lords, handing you back to Love in the Morning with Nadine Blair.
It's new. PJ Santa Cruz now sells retail bleach, disinfectant, floor polish, grease stripper, and more.